Lila wiped the sweat from her brow as she leaned over the rusted engine of an old sedan in her small-town garage. Surrounded by stacks of worn tires, scattered tools, and half-finished projects, she felt both at home and trapped. Lila had always loved cars, but not just any cars. Luxury cars. Sleek curves, roaring engines, and precise craftsmanship fascinated her. Yet, she had never imagined herself building one, let alone owning one. That morning, a black limousine rolled smoothly down the dusty street and stopped outside her garage. Its polished body gleamed in the sunlight, drawing the attention of curious neighbors. The door opened, and out stepped Alexander Grant, a billionaire CEO known as much for his eccentricity as for his business empire. He surveyed the garage with a sharp, assessing gaze. "I hear you're the mechanic who can do the impossible," Alexander said, his voice calm but commanding. "I have a challenge for you." Lila raised an eyebrow, unsure whether to laugh or be wary. "A challenge?" she repeated. "Yes," Alexander replied. "Build me a luxury car. Every piece, every detail with your own hands. No shortcuts, no help. If you succeed, I will marry you." Lila froze. The words were outrageous. Who proposed marriage over a car? But Alexander's expression was serious, leaving no room for doubt. And to her surprise, a small crowd had gathered outside, cameras rolling and whispering rumors swirling. This was not just a challenge. It was a spectacle. Her first instinct was skepticism. Could she actually create a luxury car on her own? The thought was overwhelming. Yet somewhere deep inside, a spark of determination flared. Lila had spent her life repairing, modifying, and dreaming. This was her chance to prove herself. Not just to the world, but to herself. "I accept your challenge," she said, her voice steady, though her heart raced. Alexander's lips curved into a satisfied smirk, the kind of look that promised both reward and relentless scrutiny. As the limousine drove away, leaving a trail of dust, Lila glanced around her cluttered garage. The tools, engines, and sketches scattered across tables felt like old friends ready to help her tackle the impossible. She knew the road ahead would be grueling. Mistakes could ruin her reputation, and the world would be watching every misstep. Yet, for the first time in her life, Lila felt a thrill of purpose. She rolled up her sleeves, took a deep breath, and whispered to herself, "Let's build a masterpiece." The challenge had begun, and with it, the possibility of changing her life forever. The first morning of the challenge, Lila stood in her garage, staring at the empty frame that would eventually become her luxury car. She felt a mix of excitement and dread. She knew the task ahead was monumental. Luxury cars weren't just vehicles. They were works of art, requiring precision, innovation, and relentless patience. And she had only herself and a limited set of tools to rely on. Lila began by dismantling old engines she had collected over the years, salvaging parts and experimenting with designs. Every day was a battle between creativity and practicality. She struggled with the engine first, aligning pistons, calibrating fuel injectors, and wiring the complex electrical systems tested her knowledge to the limit. Some nights, she sat on the cold concrete floor, head in her hands, frustrated tears mingling with the grease on her face. Her neighbors whispered doubts. "She's trying the impossible," they muttered. "No one builds a luxury car alone." But Lila paid no attention. Each failed attempt only fueled her determination. She documented every mistake meticulously, learning more with each misstep. Alexander visited sporadically, his presence both intimidating and motivating. He rarely gave instructions, but his cryptic advice lingered in her mind. Luxury is in the details, not the speed. Every curve, every gear, every sound must be perfect. His approval wasn't expected. It had to be earned. As the weeks turned into months, Lila's routine became grueling. She worked from sunrise to midnight, balancing assembly, testing, and repairs. She even crafted some parts herself, molding metal and shaping alloys with precision. Small victories kept her going. A perfectly aligned gear, a smoothly running engine, a frame that fit together flawlessly. Yet the pressure was immense. The looming promise of marriage, the scrutiny of the crowd, and the knowledge that failure meant public embarrassment pressed heavily on her shoulders. But in those moments of doubt, she remembered why she had accepted the challenge. Not for Alexander, not for fame, but for herself. She was proving that skill, courage, and passion could defy even the most impossible odds. One night, as sparks flew from a welding torch and the smell of burnt metal filled the garage, Lila took a step back. Slowly, the car was taking shape. The sleek curves she had envisioned were emerging, and the engine hummed with potential. Exhausted but exhilarated, she whispered to herself, "I'm closer than I've ever been. I can do this." The road ahead was still long, but for the first time, Lila believed that the impossible might just be within her grasp. Months of relentless work had transformed Lila's garage into a workshop of miracles. The skeletal frame she had started with had evolved into a sleek, gleaming luxury car. Every curve was polished, every engine component meticulously aligned. She named it Aurora, after the first light of dawn, a symbol of hope and new beginnings. The final week was the most grueling. Lila tested the engine repeatedly, adjusted the suspension, and refined the interior with painstaking detail. The leather seats were hand-stitched, the dashboard perfectly balanced, and the sound system engineered to deliver flawless acoustics. Even the tiniest imperfections were corrected. She worked late into the night, fueled by coffee, determination, and an unshakable desire to succeed. Alexander's rare visits kept her on edge. He walked silently around the car, occasionally tapping the body or lifting the hood, studying her work with the intensity of a hawk. His approval was critical, and his silence was both a challenge and a motivator. One evening he finally spoke, his tone unusually soft. "You've exceeded my expectations. But remember, perfection isn't just in the mechanics. It's in how it feels, how it commands respect." Lila took a deep breath. Tomorrow was the day of reckoning. The car gleamed under the garage lights, reflecting months of sweat, frustration, and relentless effort. She ran her hands along the smooth surface, feeling a connection deeper than she had imagined. Aurora wasn't just a car. It was a testament to her skill, perseverance, and belief in herself. The morning of the reveal, a crowd gathered outside her garage. Reporters, neighbors, and even a few local car enthusiasts whispered excitedly. Alexander arrived last, his signature black suit perfectly pressed, his expression unreadable. Lila guided him to Aurora, heart pounding. He circled the car slowly, inspecting every inch with a meticulous eye. When he opened the door and ran his fingers along the handcrafted interior, a rare smile broke across his face. "This is extraordinary," he said, almost in awe. "I knew you were talented, but this is genius." The crowd erupted in applause, but Alexander stepped closer, his gaze fixed on Lila. "You accepted an impossible challenge and conquered it. And as I promised," his hand reached for hers, "you've earned this. If you'll have me, I would be honored to marry you." For a moment, Lila was speechless, overwhelmed by the magnitude of her triumph. She smiled, feeling the weight of months of struggle lift. "Yes," she said, finally letting herself believe in the fairy tale she had created with her own hands. The news of Lila's triumph spread like wildfire. Headlines hailed her as the mechanic who built a luxury car alone, and social media buzzed with admiration. Investors reached out, luxury car companies offered partnerships, and fans from around the world celebrated her talent. Yet amidst the fame and recognition, Lila remained grounded. Her thoughts centered on what mattered most, her passion for building cars and the unexpected bond she had formed with Alexander. Life took on a new rhythm. Lila and Alexander worked together, blending their strengths, her creativity, technical skill, and relentless determination with his resources, influence, and strategic vision. Aurora became the first of a series of handcrafted luxury cars, each bearing her signature touch. Car enthusiasts marveled at the innovation, elegance, and precision of every model, and Lila's reputation soared. But success was not just professional. The promise Alexander had made became a reality. Their relationship, once rooted in challenge and curiosity, blossomed into genuine affection and partnership. Alexander admired her independence and ingenuity, while Lila respected his support and belief in her abilities. Together, they were more than a couple. They were collaborators, friends, and dreamers who had turned a challenge into a shared journey. Evenings in the garage became moments of reflection and celebration. Lila would sit beside Aurora, her hands tracing the smooth curves of the car she had built, while Alexander poured 2 cups of coffee. They laughed, talked, and planned new designs, never forgetting the arduous path that had brought them here. The garage, once a place of struggle and doubt, had transformed into a sanctuary of achievement and love. Lila also became a source of inspiration for young mechanics and dreamers worldwide. She spoke at schools, universities, and automotive expos, sharing her journey of perseverance, creativity, and courage. Her story reminded everyone that talent combined with determination could overcome even the most impossible challenges. Months turned into years, and Lila continued to build, innovate, and inspire. Aurora remained a symbol of her breakthrough, a reminder of what could be achieved when one refused to give up, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. And as she and Alexander stood together, watching the sun set behind the garage that had witnessed her transformation, Lila realized that the challenge had given her more than recognition or wealth. It had given her confidence, purpose, and a love that matched the brilliance of the car she had crafted with her own hands. Life, she knew, was no longer about limits. It was about possibilities, and she had just begun exploring them.